Iron Cross, man-to-man combat on the East Front, 1941 and 42. The infantry battle at Christische. Okay, let's talk about opportunity fire. So during the movement and reaction movement phases, the non-phasing player and the phasing player, respectively, may perform opportunity fire against moving enemy units. When a moving unit or stack enters a hex within the opportunity fire range, so opportunity fire ranges are going to be different than the initial ranges and adjusted ranges that we've talked about, or attenuated ranges. So within opportunity fire range and line of sight of an enemy unit, the enemy player may interrupt the movement to perform fire combat. Other than the limitations and restrictions noted in this section on opportunity fire is resolved in the same manner as normal fire combat. So at this point, it's probably time to talk about the turn sequence summary. This is the type of game that, first of all, the turn sequence summary is the length of a whole 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. However, several things. One, these are 8 steps that each player will go through. So the phasing player goes through first, the other player is the non-phasing, and then they switch. However, what's nice about this turn sequence summary is that it actually has a lot of the sub-steps. So we talked about fire, direct fire. So under support fire phase, it has A, announce the attack, B, determine line of sight, C, attempt observation, optional, D, performance checks to fire, E, total and modify firepower, F, determine number of dice required, and G, roll and apply results. And then it goes through their movement, performance checks, etc. So that's very nice. So it's not quite as long as it. Actually, the number of steps and the general, I guess, weight of the steps for an entire game turn is actually on par with ASL, maybe ASL starter kit. So it's not that complicated or whatever, but I guess there's not much. So we're talking about the movement phase, conduct opportunity fire. There it is. So under the movement phase, check performance, move units, conduct opportunity fire, conduct mine attacks, conduct overruns, and announce assaults. And then in the reaction movement phase, so this is when the non-phasing player is moving, you also have conduct opportunity fire. So not that unusual for a game of this scale and scope. There's lots of firing, lots of fire procedures. Okay, so which units may fire? So during the movement phase, here's our movement phase. During the movement phase, all non-phasing infantry, AFV, armored fighting vehicle, machine gun, anti-tank rifle, and anti-tank gun units which are eligible to fire may perform opportunity fire. Then during the reaction movement phase, all phasing ATR and ATG units which are eligible to fire and have not moved in the preceding movement phase, which is why we pretty much need some type of movement markers. These again did not come with the game. These are extras I'm using from ATS. So one of the reasons why I'm going through this in detail is because I think this game has just a few things that are peculiar, at least. So again, during the reaction movement phase, all phasing anti-tank rifle and anti-tank gun units which are eligible to fire and have not moved in the preceding movement phase may perform opportunity fire. Then there's an advanced rule for machine guns that are in spray or fire lane modes. We'll definitely get to those. So here's the first one that's peculiar. Only hexes into which enemy units are moving may be designated as target hexes for opportunity fire. That's normal. However, all units in the target hex, moving or not, are subject to the fire as in normal fire combat. So I think some games handle this one way and some handle it the other way. In other words, some games specify that the opportunity fire is for the moving units only, even if the moving unit is in another hex with units that are not moving. Now, of course, it's not to imply that it's totally, random which way a designer goes. I'm sure that designers think about scale and time, not only ground scale, hex scale, but time scale, to decide action-wise which is more appropriate. Here, of course, so you take, one moving unit, and that moving unit moves into a hex with two other units like that, and it's subject to opportunity fire. Again, effects are against all of those units. So what is the scale? Let's talk about or review real quickly scale here. So each hexagon represents about 10 meters from hex side to hex side, which explains why there's only one AFV per hex, and each turn represents about 2 minutes of real time. Okay, so AFVs, Armored Fighting Vehicles, may only opportunity fire AT or AP into hexes within their frontal area. A unit may perform opportunity fire only once in a player turn, regardless of the number of targets with which it may be presented. So again, the need for some type of fired marker. So if let's see, if Lutyens here conducts opportunity fire, we can mark him with fired marker. Units may combine their AP factors for opportunity fire as per the normal unit fire combination rules, which I guess I'm going to go ahead and review those because they are interesting and I like them, at least on first examination. So infantry units may combine their AP factors into one total AP fire power strength under these conditions. Infantry units of the same squad stacked together. So in this case we have Poppin here, and we have Mix here. They're both part of the C squad. That's the C in the center right. They're the same squad. If they're stacked together, they can fire together. And likewise, we have from D squad, we have Eunuch and Lutyens. They're stacked together. They can fire together. So that's the first class of infantry units that can fire together. Then we have the second class is infantry units of different squads stacked together with a commander in normal status. Okay, so in this case, we can take Tome here, who is a platoon leader, which in game terms is called a commander. So Tome could be stacked with Poppin from C squad and Lutyens from D squad, but if he is a commander stacked with them there, and he's in normal status, they can fire together. And finally, the third class here is group fire. Infantry units of the same squad in two adjacent. So let's take Lutyens from D squad and Eunuch from D squad, same squad. So infantry units of the same squad in two adjacent hexes with a normal status leader in one of the hexes. So we'll take Tome again. Tome is stacked with either one. Adjacent hexes with the commander, they can fire together. So these are the three classes of infantry units that can fire together. So group fire, this last one is called group fire. Just the last of the three classes are called group fire and may only be performed during the support fire and defensive fire phases. Back to opportunity fire. Each time a moving unit enters a hex against which opportunity fire may be performed, it may be fired upon. But again, back to a unit may perform opportunity fire only once. So infantry units and AFVs attempting opportunity fire in the movement phase have their PC dice roll modified by +1. Again, that's bad. By the way, some of the things in this game I've already noticed are slightly counterintuitive. So the less dice you're rolling in normal AP combat, the fewer dice you're rolling, the better. The more dice you're rolling, the worse. And some of these advantages, some of these penalties are pluses, plus dies or plus die rolls, I think. Yeah, so it's backwards, in a sense. Backwards. Okay. Machine guns, ATRs, and ATGs do not have their PC die roll modified in this phase. Each unit attempting opportunity fire in the reaction movement phase has its PC die roll modified by +1. So that is important. So you're still, if necessary, ooh, that would be a bad roll. Be 11 +1 for opportunity fire. Okay. And I think that would pretty much make anybody fail, maybe everybody fail, or anybody fail. Combat results from opportunity fire have their normal effects. Moving units which become pinned may move no further in that phase. That makes sense. Moving units unaffected by opportunity fire may continue to move. That makes sense. Now, let's talk about opportunity fire ranges, because we talked about this before. And again, at this scale and scope, I think this has to do with the time it takes to acquire the target and engage it. Okay, so infantry units have a max range of 3 hexes. Machine guns are limited to their initial range printed on the counter. So in our case here, I should have kept the machine gun handy. Yes, I should have. Oh, there it is. All right. So machine guns, in this case, this medium machine gun is limited to its printed initial range of 18. Machine guns may not opportunity fire beyond their initial range. Okay. ATRs, anti-tank rifles, anti-tank guns, normal ranges. Remember, ATRs are subject to range attenuation. And then AFVs, again, back to the AFVs that I'm not paying much attention to at all. AT factors are normal, unlimited range. AP factors up to a maximum range of 10 hexes. Range attenuation applies. Okay. So, interesting. That's opportunity fire. Just slightly more involved, I guess, than your typical squad or platoon scale scope game.